Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing this fine, not boring Monday? Happy Monday. Options expiration week. Happy options expiration week. Happy insane politics. Good morning, Zello. Good morning, Sterling. It's not a problem. We'll expect spotty attendance from Sterling this week. Good morning, Patrick. Thank you for tuning in, though, Sterling, and doing everything you do for the channel. Good morning, Jacob. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Balaji. Good morning, David. Good morning, Anissa. Good morning to Patrick and Rusty and Stafford. Stafford Netboy Comics over on Rumble. Hope everyone is doing well. Hello, Charles, all the ways from overseas, and Anissa also overseas. Got global viewership going on here. So, oh boy. Oh boy. Again, Uh, sad day on Saturday. Bobby Weir from the Grateful Dead passing. So it was a sad weekend from that. Good morning, Daniel. Then we're going to cap credit card interest rates 10%. Oh boy. I guess we don't have free market. We don't have any. I don't know what we do. We don't have capitalism. We don't have. I don't know what we have anymore. We got Fed independence. Everybody knows I'm not a supporter of the Fed, but if we're having a Fed, I want an independent Fed. Okay? Don't want a Fed. I don't want the whatever leadership's in charge controlling the federal funds rate. Don't want it and dictating monetary policy. That's why I want a friggin' rule that can't be easily changed. Criminalize differing opinions? Well, we're headed there next. Good morning, Heinrich. Good morning, Yogi. Happy Monday to you. Good morning, Tony. So, we live in insane times. Good morning, Odie Green. So, if you're wondering my stance, the market's pulling back, but the market will probably shrug off this in a day or two. How about those Cowboys? Wait, they're not in the playoffs. So, yeah, but how about the Bears? The Bears pulling it out against the Packers. You go, Bears. That was an exciting game. Holy smokes. Well, the fourth quarter was exciting. The San Francisco Philadelphia Eagles game, very exciting. The Panthers Rams game, exciting. The New England Patriots that game was boring as all get out. Boring as all get out. The Bears, there you go. The Bears. All right, this is not a sports live stream. This is an insane market live stream. Yeah, cheese grater that, Green Bay. Finally. Can the Bears beat the Rams? The Rams didn't look that impressive. The Rams did not look that impressive. It's going to be another good game. All right, what do we got going on this week? We have OpEx on Friday. We possibly have the tariff decision on Wednesday. It was not on Friday. Could be on Wednesday. Don't think we're getting out of this week without some volatility. We have already had the Powell releasing a statement last night about the subpoena from the Trump administration and the Department of Justice about cost overruns on the renovations. They're just looking for an excuse, again, as an excuse, but I don't want a non-independent Fed. And I don't want a puppet Fed being put in. Okay, that is even worse. That's why I don't want a Fed. I don't want a Federal Reserve. You can have people that crunch the numbers and everything, but I don't want people controlling the rates. I want it done by a rule. Let's come up with a rule. This is also why I want smaller government. I don't want all this big government on either side controlled by anybody. More big government, more problems, more manipulation, more fraud, more everything. Can we just get rid of it? Wednesday, yes, Wednesday for the tariff things. Bears still suck. Eric, they might still suck. But it's more exciting when they do these kind of games. And they didn't finish last. They scammed the market on Friday. They didn't want anything to ruin the rally. All right, what do we got going on? Not much today. We got Bostic and Barkin speaking, and we got Williams speaking after the close today. Tomorrow, ADP employment numbers, the CPI numbers from December. Big thing this tomorrow. Do we trust them? Don't know. Red Book numbers, new home sales, Musalem speaking, Barkin speaking again. Wednesday, we got the PPI from October and November. I don't know where the PPI from December is, but we got Mirren speaking. We got the EIA numbers. We got a lot of Fed speak on Wednesday. Look at all this Fed speak. Thursday, initial and continuous jobless claims, the Philly Fed numbers, more Fed speak. I'm tired of. Can we? That's why I want to rule too. I don't need all this Fed speak. Don't need it. Don't need it. Don't want it. Friday, not much. Oh, we got Fed speak in there though. Friday, but OpEx is Friday. OpEx is Friday. So far this morning, Walmart's up. What's the news on Walmart? I wish I could ask Sterling what the news on Walmart was. Banks, because what are we? Wait, don't we have to pass a law to cap interest rates? And by the way, that's not capitalism. Not that we've had capitalism for years because of all the government insane bailouts of certain things, control of other things. That's another story. But I don't think a president can just say, hey, we're capping interest rates at 10% for a year. By the way, that's a really stupid decision because if it was enforced, then credit's going to be pulled from people. All right. So it's just going to be a wind down in credit offered. Now, it is a big money center for the banks. But again, if you're going to, hey, yeah, I mean, I don't like people get charged 30% interest, but it's their will to sign up for it. But guess what? If you cap it at 10%, credit's going to go down. And where are people going to go for credit? They're going to go to other paycheck loans, title loans that can charge even more than that. And they're going to go underground for borrowing. Which is worse? Which is worse? At least you can discharge credit card debt in bankruptcy. I don't want underground borrowing going on. All right. Oh, Walmart, Google AI deal. Thank you, Patrick. Yeah, it's been added to the NASDAQ 100. It was added to the NASDAQ 100, Charles. David, Eagles are out. Yeah, the Ravens, well, they didn't suck. I want to know who they're going to replace Harbaugh with. That's going to be interesting. All right, Walmart. We have the Google deal. Pretty much. I mean, oh, geez, stop jumping around. Hey, Stafford, how do I lock that bar to one monitor when I have multiples? So we got that. What else we got? Miners, gold and miners still up, but everything else is pretty red. Basic materials up, consumer defensive up. That's also based off of Walmart. Negative for financial technology, comm services, and consumer cyclical. Fed watch. Whoa, that got small. How did that get so small? Hope I'll have to fix that later. But 95% for a pause. Let's just hike them. Let's just hike the rates. Why not? What do you think that would do? What do you think that would do? Huh? What do you think hiking the rates would do? That would really put a that would be funny. Oh boy. Fear and greed index in neutral mode. PE closing in on 41 again. Oh, we do have earnings this week. The transition from traditional web or app search to agent-led commerce represents the next great evolution in retail. I disagree. AI agents they're going to see. That's why they're trying to come up with a consistent API for them because they are not consistent. But everybody's going to keep jumping on that bandwagon until they don't. Not saying they aren't helpful in certain areas. It's getting overblown. Today, what's that? Siffy or Stiffy? Oh, Tuesday, JP Morgan Chase, Delta, Bank of New York. Wednesday, we got Wells Fargo Citi, Bank of America, Infosys. Thursday, TSMC, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock. So look, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and smaller banks on Friday. So starting tomorrow, JP Morgan, Delta, which is still trailing from the end, JP Morgan kicking off the next quarter. All right. All right. So, what do we have now? We do have a potential double top. We do have a potential double top. You may be wondering, come on, why? There we go. Why, if the second target goes through the candle? Because on the 4-hour, it does not. Okay, so on the 4-hour, it does not. In this time frame, I'd be looking for it to trigger. What do you mean? What's up with gold? It continues in its uptrend. It's rallying because Fed independence is questioned. And if you have Trump take over monetary policy, that's not a good thing. Some people might think it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. I don't want any president taking over the monetary policy of the country, of at least the independence of the Fed. The Treasury is another story. However, that's what I'm watching. Before then, we got to get through 69.50 is a key level support that was tested overnight, European Open. 69.35 is the next key target. 69.35.25. If we close on a 4-hour basis below that, we have triggered. You can actually even look at it on a 1-hour basis. It's completely valid on a 1-hour basis too, whether you watch for a 4 or 1 hour. If it closed on a 1 hour, I'd still want to follow through on a 4-hour. But that 69.50, 69.35, we triggered that. It's virtually the same target, whether you use a double or prior key support resistances at significant levels. 6,900, 68.82 roughly, and then the lows, which could trigger. There's still a bigger potential double. This has not been invalidated. This did not pull back far enough to invalidate it. So we could have cascading doubles, not expecting at least a second one to trigger. But if we did, we could easily see the 50% retracement of this up move. Other than that, on the rallying side, 69.78 area. Above 69.72 is, I'll be sitting up and taking notice, but it's got to get through 69.78 to sustain the bullish breakout for me. Okay, we see we're in a rising sort of consolidation with a flat and choppy 4-hour rotation zone. Above 69.78, we're looking at 69.95 area, and then the recent highs area, 710. And then the invalidation point for both the doubles are virtually the same. If it gets above 70.26, they're both invalidated to the upsided. I cannot speak it. Yeah, the dollar felt it as well also after hitting the first target on the double bottom. The NASDAQ, there is this. Let's see if this does work. Oh, come on. See, this does not work. This does not work. Why? Even on the 4-hour time frame, even if you go to the 1-hour time frame, there's no wicks for it to go through. It goes beyond the move. So that does not work. However, is that point still key? Yes, another challenge with the NASDAQ is there's a nice rising trend line right in the way. So I'm paying really close attention to this 25,675 area. We break through there. Think you could trip it real quickly to this 25,386 to 25,400 area in the 50 EMA. But there's been buying pressure over the last 3 days at the bottom of the rotation zone. So even though we don't have targets, if this area breaks down, I'm looking for a return to that 50 EMA. 25,676, we have a wide range of support in here. Until we break 25,600, I'm not really aggressively looking for shorts unless we start developing momentum on a sell-off. because between 25,601 and 25,676, wider zone than I like, but there's a lot of some buying pressure in there. To the upside, we got to get above 25,831 for the breakout, and then the key target is 25,960. And then if we get through this 26,000, it's 26,087 to take off the 87.5 rule. The Dow does have a potential double top on a 4-hour basis. If it closes below 49,001, just remember 49,000. 48,605, 48,407. So 48,6, 48,4, 48,2. If those are into the wicks, I'd be looking, though it is against the daily rotation zone, so I'd be paying attention if it catches on the daily rotation zone. The Russell, there is no double. There is no double. I'm looking at 2620 as support. We break below that, I'm going to watch the 4-hour rotation zone, and then which coming in right around 2610 and then 2603. All right, and if we get down at 2600 to 2603 is the major support zone with the rising rotation zone. VIX slightly elevated today, but still. I mean, yes, on Friday was a gift essentially going into this week because dropping down well below 15, down below 1450 with OPEX, with a tariff decision, I mean, you wouldn't know that till after the close with the cap, but there's too much. This market's way too complacent with everything going on. So I keep stressing volatility hedges, even short-term ones. Let's see where this opens today, but this got back down to 850 roughly on Friday. I bet you it's going to spike back up possibly to 14 today. DAX continues its run higher. Again, would not be chasing at this point, but I'm just keeping an eye on any pullback into the 4-hour rotation zone. It just keeps grinding higher against the 8 EMA. There is no topping pattern yet. It is getting very overextended. The yields coming up, testing the key resistance, 4.2. If you see this break, it's going to get real interesting on the yields. The 30-year, we had a big spike up in a reversal on Friday, but just sitting sort of grinding higher with higher lows. First target, again, as a reminder, hit from the inverse head and shoulders. Not much else to do there. Crude, we do have a confirmed but not triggered double bottom. It was triggered on the 1 hour. I still need a 4-hour follow through, but aggressive would be on the 1 hour, and that's for a minor pullback into very key support. Key resistance is 60.15 on this one. Natty gas, we did have a potential double bottom last week, which has now been invalidated, never triggered or anything, but invalidated. Still looking for that magnet price back around 3. Gold. There you go. There's your gold. Is there a potential double top still in place? Yes. It's probably not going to trigger. What else do we have? Not much. 46.60, 46.59, 46.60, and then 47.16 to 47.45 are the next harmonics higher. On the pullback, key support now is 4,500 to about 45.10. There is a gap left behind, and that would be to 4,500.9. Would not recommend shorting this yet. There will be a time. Not yet. If you value your money, not yet. Silver above 86.02 invalidates this potential double top. Again, we have the rotation zone in the way. Still grinding higher, 87.31, 89.56. Copper does have a potential double top, would need a close below 569 to trigger. Other than that, trend is still up. There is a ton of resistance up here. But The only thing that would put a halt on this could be the top of the double bot. The double top being triggered. I don't know what I said there. Platinum, not much to talk about. Remember, this is not a double. Dollar index, the reversal back down to the triggering area of the double bottom after hitting the first targets. Okay? After hitting the first targets. This has not invalidated the pattern. The invalidation point for the pattern now would be on a close below 97.94 or a trade through 97.75. So pulling back here, not surprising with overbought after this massive run up with the daily cycles at the top. So going to be watching for pullback / consolidation. Still watching for bullish moves in the dollar unless the pattern's invalidated. Euro hitting the first target and bouncing on to the breakout point, the breakdown point from the double top and hitting the rotation zone. So still watching for rollover plays unless the euro closes back above 117.36. 117.37, roughly. What else? We don't need to look at yields today. Bitcoin was looking for the bounce pattern. It actually confirmed the double bottom, triggered the double bottom. Now let's see if it's invalidated. This was the pattern I was looking for. And if it closes above 90.81, then it is invalidated. Then it was one of the ones that would be a loser, and I'd stop looking for the bullish plays then. That would be take the loss, stop looking for the bullish plays. We could be breaking back down. Spiders, gap down today, 690.46. On any rally, the 690.63 is Friday's open. And then we have 692.30, and then we have the gap fill, the upside 694.07. The key support I'm watching is around Friday's lows. Friday's lows 689.18, around that area. We break below that. I'm looking then about 687.60 and then 686.25 areas. The Qs. The Qs. Is this a double? No, it's not. It is not a double top because this goes through here. So what would I be watching if it does break down below Thursday's lows? I'm looking for the gap fill to 613.10. That would be the target area that I would be looking for. Other than that, with the gap down today, we're looking at 621.72. Support would be 621.41. Friday's open. And then we're looking at Friday's low area right around 619.06. We start taking out 618. I'm looking for a return to the 50 EMA. So that's where we sit. By the way, we still do have a potential double bottom on Broadcom. That's the only thing that makes me bullish on the AI trade. Anything in the short term. So, don't know what else to say. Don't know what else to say. I got to run slightly after the open, so nothing. Let's just peek at this. Nothing's really changed going into the open. Before 69.78, I'll be looking at 69.70. If we can break out above there going into the open, or if we break down below 69.60, then I'm looking for the 69.50. All right, buckle up, everyone. So this is going to be a fun and interesting week. Don't do anything silly. Remember, possible CPI tomorrow, tariff decision possibly Wednesday, OpEx Friday. Who knows what's going to come out from the insanity of the administration? So we got to be prepared for anything. With that, I will talk to everyone later. Bye for now.